Madison Square Garden, New York City, December 19th, 1997. America didn't believe the hype. They said he was a circus act, a dancer, a clown with gloves who got lucky on British soil against fighters nobody had ever heard of. And across the ring stood Kevin Kelly, Brooklyn-born, former world champion, 47 wins, 34 knockouts, a man who had been in real wars and was ready to end the party. In 4 rounds, 6 men went down. 3 of them were the same person, and he won anyway. Prince Naseem Hamed arrived in America with a 28-0 record and the kind of confidence that either wins rooms or clears them. He flew in on the British Airways Concorde. That's right, the supersonic jet, because regular planes were apparently too slow for the WBO featherweight champion of the world. He did press conferences like a rock star. He promised to knock Kelly out inside 3 rounds. He danced backstage while the New York media watched in silence, not sure if they were dealing with the next big thing or the biggest fraud in boxing. This wasn't England anymore. There were no friendly crowds, no hometown advantage, no slow warm-up fights to ease him in. This was the Garden, Kevin Kelly's backyard, New York's own, and for the very first time in his professional career, the public genuinely expected Naseem Hamed to lose. But here's what most people still don't understand about that night. What happened in that ring wasn't just about boxing. It was about what's left of a fighter when everything goes wrong at once. When the plan falls apart, when the crowd turns, when the canvas rises up to meet you. That's not a test of skill. That's a test of who you are. That's made under pressure. And on December 19th, 1997, Prince Naseem Hamed answered that question for the entire world. In this video, we're going round by round, every knockdown, every shift in momentum, every single moment that made this fight one of the most insane 4 rounds in featherweight history. Stay with us. This one earns it. To understand why this fight was so dangerous for Naseem, you have to understand Kevin Kelly. Kelly wasn't just a name they threw in to give Naz an American debut. The man had pedigree, born in Brooklyn, raised in Flushing, Queens, a 2-time Golden Gloves winner, WBC featherweight champion from 1993 until he lost his belt in 1995 to Alejandro Gonzalez, in a fight where both of his eyes were swollen shut by the final round and his corner stopped it. That's not a loss, that's a war story. And then Kelly came back, took a rematch with Derek Gainer in 1996, got dropped, got bloodied, fell behind on all 3 scorecards, and then landed one missile of a left hand that knocked Gainer stiff and won the fight. This man did not quit, ever. 47 wins, 34 knockouts, a style built on aggression, timing, and genuine power in both hands. And he also happened to be a southpaw, which meant Naseem's biggest weapon, the straight left hand, was coming right down the same lane as Kelly's. Southpaw versus southpaw. 2 knockout artists, same lane, 0 defense. Kelly's fight plan was simple, and he said it out loud. Naz's hands were low, his head was exposed, his footwork was unorthodox, which in English means sometimes he walked into shots with his chin stuck out. Kelly had watched the tape, he saw the pattern, he knew that Naz invited you to swing, and he planned to accept that invitation and collect. What Kelly didn't account for, what everyone in boxing kept underestimating, was Naz's chin, his heart, and his ability to turn chaos into a weapon. Naz didn't fear getting hit, he calculated it. He knew at some point in every fight he'd take a shot. The question was never if. The question was always what comes next. And that mentality, that terrifying, borderline, reckless certainty that whatever gets thrown at you, you come back harder. That's not something you can fake. You can't buy it. You can only build it, round after round, sparring session after sparring session, until the pressure doesn't break you anymore. That's what it means to be forged by pressure. Not comfortable, not protected, tested repeatedly until tested becomes your natural state. Before we get to the punches, we need to talk about the entrance. Because with Prince Naseem Hamed, the entrance was never separate from the fight. It was part of it. Fight week, Naz moved through New York like a man who already owned it. Press conferences, TV appearances. Trash talk so quotable the New York tabloids couldn't get enough. He promised Kelly would fall inside 3 rounds. He said this with the dead-eyed conviction of someone reading a grocery list. Kevin Kelly, who had the gift of gab himself, fired back. He called Naz a fraud, said the British public had been conned, said real New York power would expose the whole circus. The trash talk was genuinely funny, both men were sharp, and the city loved every second of it. Then fight night arrived. Ringside, Spike Lee, Pierce Brosnan, Liam Neeson, Hugh Grant, Rosie Perez, Pernell Whitaker, Daniel Day-Lewis, Kid Gavilan. This was a genuine event and not just a boxing match. Jim Lampley, Larry Merchant, and George Foreman were calling it for HBO, the biggest broadcast team in boxing, the biggest venue in America, the biggest debut a foreign fighter had received in years. Kevin Kelly walked out first. Brooklyn's own. The crowd erupted. Then, nothing. 9 minutes passed. 9. A lit catwalk. Sparkling confetti. Men in black pumping through the Garden speakers. A silhouette behind a white screen just dancing. By the time Naz actually appeared, the crowd was half furious and half hypnotized. He got to the ring, sized it up, and backflipped over the ropes. Kelly, already waiting, was visibly agitated. He came nose to nose with Naz before referee Benji Esteves Jr. could separate them. Both men jawing, both men ready, and then Michael Buffer stepped to the mic. Let's get ready to rumble. The bell rings. Both men are southpaws, both circling left. The early exchanges are cautious. Feints, jabs, both fighters reading each other. Hamed wins the early exchanges. He's sharper, landing right jabs, moving well. For 2 minutes, he looks like exactly what the hype said he was. Then Kelly does something brilliant. He deliberately backs into a corner, like he's been pressured, like he's in trouble, baiting Naz to pounce. Naz takes the bait. He lunges forward with a left, misses, lunges with a right, misses. And while he's off balance, retreating, chin exposed, Kelly unloads a looping overhand right that lands flush on the jaw. Naz hits the canvas. Hard. Madison Square Garden erupts. The Kelly chants drown everything out. HBO's Jim Lampley is screaming. The New York crowd is on its feet. And Naseem Hamed is on the floor at Madison Square Garden in round 1 of his American debut. The narrative writes itself. The fraud is exposed. The circus is over. Go home, Prince. But then Naz stands up, takes the standing 8 from referee Esteves, looks at his corner, and he nods. Not panicked, not rattled, not desperate, just nods, like he's filing it away. He continues to get rocked for the rest of the round. Kelly landing sharp counters, snapping Naz's head back. The Naseem chants have gone quiet. The Kelly chants own the building, but Hamed survives the round. And survival in boxing is sometimes the whole plan. Round 2 starts, and Kelly is the aggressor. He smells blood. He wants this finished. And in the early exchanges, he gets it. Kelly, slick as ever, switches stances mid-combination and launches a lead left hook that lands clean. Hamed's gloves touch the canvas. Second knockdown of the fight. The Garden is losing its mind. Down 2 knockdowns to 0. American debut on the line. The HBO desk is already writing the ending. Kelly senses it. He swarms Hamed, aggressive, trying to close the show while the Prince is hurt. And that's where Kevin Kelly makes the mistake that changes the entire fight. He trades with Naseem Hamed at close range. Naz sidesteps a wild swing and counters. A straight right hand lands flush on Kelly's chin. Kevin Kelly goes down. First knockdown of the fight for Hamed. The Garden gasps. The scoreboard just changed. Kelly gets up. He answers the standing 8, and both men come out swinging with the kind of abandon that makes boxing beautiful and terrifying in the same breath. The crowd is split. Every single punch gets a reaction. Lampley is shouting. Foreman is laughing. Merchant can barely keep up. For a few seconds at the end of round 2, nobody in Madison Square Garden knew who was winning. Not the fighters, not the judges, not the 10,000 people on their feet. That's chaos. That's the edge. And that's exactly where Naseem Hamed was most dangerous. When everyone else panics, the best fighters find clarity. And in round 2 of this fight, Naz found it. Round 3 is the most underrated round of the entire fight. Both fighters took a more cautious approach. The fireworks paused. The crowd settled. But this is where the real boxing happened. Kelly went to work with his jab, landing it several times, controlling range, trying to re-establish the game plan he came in with. He was smart here. He knew the first 2 rounds had been a lottery. He wanted to reset. Hamed responded with right crosses, hooks, and a right-to-left combination at the end of the round that landed clean and reminded everybody that this man was still armed. It was even. Both men scored. Nobody got hurt. But here's what mattered in round 3. Naz was watching, timing, cataloging every movement Kelly made, where his guard dropped, how he loaded the right hand, which way his weight shifted before the left hook. Naseem Hamed's greatest skill was never just punching power. It was pattern recognition at fight speed, the ability to see what was coming, not from training, not from tape study, but from the fight itself in real time, round by round. Round 3 was Naz doing homework. Round 4 was the exam. Round 4, and both men came out swinging like they'd agreed, silently, wordlessly, that this was the last round regardless of what the scorecard said. Kelly opens with a thunderous overhand right. It lands, and Hamed answers immediately in a short left cross, tight and precise. Then a second left, longer, extended, a full lean-in shot, and that drops Kelly for the second time in the fight. 2 knockdowns for Hamed, 2 for Kelly. The score is tied, and there's still 2 minutes on the clock. Kelly rises. He's tough, genuinely historically tough. His legs are unsteady, but his eyes are clear. He wants to finish this. Hamed presses. He's sensing it now. The beginning of the end. He throws power punches, and then Kelly comes back with a sharp right hook that forces Naz's glove to graze the canvas. 3rd knockdown for Kelly. The scores are now 3-2 in Kelly's favor on knockdowns. And Kelly, smelling the finish, does exactly what got him in trouble in round 2. He comes forward, swinging, looking to close the show. One hook snaps Naz's head back, but Hamed steadies, finds his feet, steps back once, just once, and times it. A stiff, hard left cross straight to the temple. Kelly stops, not wobbles, stops, like the signal cut out, like the engine turned off. He goes down for the 3rd time. Referee Benji Esteves Jr. takes one look at him and waves it off. TKO round 4, 2 minutes and 27 seconds. George Foreman bellowed into the HBO microphone. He's for real. The Prince is for real. Larry Merchant called it the Hagler Hearns of the featherweight division. Ring Magazine would award it Fight of the Year. And Madison Square Garden, the building that had spent 9 minutes watching Naz dance behind a curtain, the building that had counted him out twice, gave him a standing ovation. 6 knockdowns in 4 rounds, 3 of them his, and he won. Because the last seconds 91 of that fight, the last 91 seconds when Kelly came forward for the kill, that's where Naseem Hamed was most alive. Not in the safe moments, in the dangerous ones, when the margin disappeared and only instinct remained. That's not luck. That's what happens when the preparation runs deeper than the panic. HBO wanted more. The Garden wanted a rematch. Promoter Frank Warren was fielding calls from every major venue in America. More importantly, the boxing world had seen something that couldn't be unseen. This wasn't a fluke. This wasn't a gimmick. This man had genuine power, the kind that rearranges outcomes regardless of how many times you've been knocked down. Naz would go on to add the WBC and IBF featherweight titles to his collection. He would unify, he would dominate, he would defend the WBO belt 16 times in total. And that night at the Garden became the foundation of the American legend. The night that mattered most because it was the hardest. Anyone can look good when everything goes right. The measure of a fighter, the real measure, is what they do when it all goes wrong at once. 3 knockdowns in the biggest city on earth, in front of a crowd that came to bury you, and you smile, get up, and finish the job. That is built for fighters, not a slogan, a standard. The standard Naseem Hamed set that night in December 1997, one that this series is about to show you could never be sustained forever. After that night, everything changed. Not just for Naseem Hamed, for the featherweight division, for British boxing, for anyone who had ever been written off before the opening bell. Let's be real for a second. Prince Naseem getting dropped in this fight wasn't a surprise. Not to anyone who'd studied him seriously, because the same thing that made Naz brilliant also made him hittable. Hands low means there's always a path to the chin. Head up means a clean shot has a target. Brendan Ingle built his entire style around reflexes compensating for the lack of orthodox defense. The head movement covered the low hands. The angles covered the exposed chin. But Kevin Kelly had a specific answer, and it worked. He set the bait. He let Naz come to him. He used the oldest trick in the book: back yourself into a corner, invite the rush, time the counter. What saved Naz wasn't his defense. It was his chin and his heart. And here's the deeper lesson. Hamed versus Kelly revealed that Naz could be hurt, could be dropped, could be put in genuine danger. And it also revealed that none of that mattered, because he came back every single time. That's an asset. But over years, over a career, it also becomes a liability, because eventually, if you keep absorbing shots like that, the chin starts to go. The recovery gets slower. The smile takes a little longer to return. We're gonna see exactly what that looks like in the next episode. Fights like this take something from you, even when you win, because wars leave evidence. On your chin, on your reflexes, in the milliseconds between the punch landing and the body responding. Naseem Hamed walked out of Madison Square Garden a legend, but somewhere in Mexico, a fighter was watching the tape, not looking at the knockouts, looking at the knockdowns, studying where the hands dropped, how long it took to recover, what the footwork looked like when Naz was hurt, not trying to copy the show, building a blueprint to dismantle it. In episode 3, we're going inside the fight that completed the Naseem legend in Britain, the night he walked into enemy territory again and performed like nothing in the sport had ever affected him. But we're also going to start introducing you to the man in Mexico, the quiet one, the technical one, the one who didn't need a flying carpet, he just needed a plan. If you love fighters who walk through fire instead of around it, you're in the right place. This is Knockout Kings Elite, where pressure creates legends, and where we don't just show you the highlight, we show you what it cost. Subscribe, hit the bell. You're in a 5-part series right now. Don't come in at episode 4 and be lost. Drop a comment. Could you have gotten back up from those 3 knockdowns? Be honest. We read every single one. This is a community of real boxing fans, not casuals. Act like it. Episode 3 is coming. See you there.